benefit of a BHAG, if you have a team, right? It puts everyone on your team on a mission. Okay. And what happens when, you know, if you're competing with someone on a mission, you will almost always lose. Okay. Because here's what's going to happen. If you are on a mission, right, you will have passion. Like you will be passionate about achieving your mission because you're not just doing it for the money, you're doing it for the mission, right? And when you're passionate about something, right, it's the recipe, it's the key ingredient to achieving great achievement. Okay, in order to achieve greatness, you gotta be passionate about something. Like, name me one person who is like, meh, with that meh attitude that have achieved greatness. Nobody. Okay, like zero. Like there's no one in history that is not passionate about something that have achieved greatness. And by definition, to achieve your BHAG, you gotta achieve greatness. And the key ingredient is passion, right? And what drives passion is having a mission. When you set a BHAG, you know, your team will have the passion behind it, and inevitably you will achieve greatness. Here's an example. This is the big, hairy, audacious goal of John F. Kennedy in the US space program back in 1962. John F. Kennedy said, we'll send a man to the moon and bring him back safely. We will do it not because it's easy, but because it's hard, right? He didn't say the word BHAG, but this is a BHAG, right? Because believe it or not, right? If you take your phone has more computing power, okay, than all the computers that they used to bring, you know, like those three men on the moon. Okay, think about that, right? So if they can do that with 1960s technology and they achieve it in 1969, right? That BHAG galvanized the whole nation, right? That BHAG, made like US like, okay, fine, we're competing against Russia, in this space race, right? And so we have this very simple directive, which is what I love about BHAG. You can literally write it in one sentence. It can be like, 4, 5, 7 words, and you have your BHAG, right? So it can galvanize your team. It will put your team on a mission, and they will achieve that mission with a passion, right? So, um, here's another BHAG. Bill Gates set this back in 1980, I think. A computer in every home. Like how many words is that, right? A computer in every home. And at that time, like that computer you can see there, probably in today's dollars cost $10,000, right? In today's dollars. So it's like, who in the right mind will have like a computer in every home? But Bill Gates envisioned it, right? And by the year 2000, they achieved this BHAG. In fact, today, just count the number of computers you have at your home. Like my kids have an iPad, a phone, right? And then we have the we have our we have two laptops. Like you have four computers in every home now. It seems like, right? So from something seemingly impossible, right? When you set a BHAG, then it can galvanize your whole team to be on a mission, right? And therefore achieve greatness because of that passion in fulfilling that mission, right? So by definition, your BHAG is long term. So I suggest, set a BHAG like 10 years or longer, right? Here's a BHAG of Elon Musk Tesla, right? Accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. And I think when they did the calculation, they needed like 10 terawatt hours of energy per year in order to achieve this, which is crazy, you know. But this made Tesla like the world's number one or most valuable car company today, right? So this is an example of a BHAG that is happening right in front of our eyes, right? Okay. So now what's your BHAG? Okay. Have you thought of your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal? All right. Put it in the chat if you want to, so that our, Alicia, Joe, and they never went to the moon. All right. Anyway, that's another discussion. Okay, which is which is not the scope of this. All right. But you get the point, right? Set a goal so big, seemingly impossible, right? And your team can achieve what is impossible. All right. So what's your BHAG? Share it in the chat, right? And one of our, Alicia, Joe, or Terry will reach out to you, right, to help you develop your specific plan for 2024. Will guide you through it. Okay. Then step number two is you break down your BHAG into SMART goal for 2024. What's SMART? It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay? Specific, it cannot be, like, it gotta be like very specific, right? It gotta be something that you can measure at the end of the day, or let's say at the end of 12 months, you will know for a fact if you've achieved it or not, right? And then achievable, nothing crazy, right? And then it has to be relevant to your BHAG, and it has to be time bound, like in the next 12 months. Okay? The wrong way to break down your BHAG is, let's say, Mike's BHAG of $1 billion over 10 years. Therefore, your year one SMART goal is 100 million. Well, you can do that. However, I'm here to tell you, share with you an approach that is actually better than that. Here's why, right? The problem with this, you are thinking like in a linear fashion, but the reality is, you know, um, as you achieve a goal, it builds momentum, right? And then you can stack. Well, the nice thing about real estate is you can stack up properties, right? So your year one, you buy a certain property. Then year two, you don't sell that property year one. Now you have two properties, producing more income, etc., etc., right? So people forget the power of the exponential, and I'll explain later what that is and why it's important, right? Besides, if you set a goal of 1 billion and then you expect to do 100 million on year one, let's say you're just starting out, like, it kind of is discouraging because there's a high likelihood you will not meet 100 million on year one. Okay? I'm just being real here, right? So there's a better way. Don't forget the power of exponential growth, right? Because as you achieve, like, let's say you start with a small goal, then you build momentum, you build confidence. Now your skill set also is growing, and therefore the amount of deal you do the next year will be more than year one. Okay? So Bill Gates said most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but they underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. Right? Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but they underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. You want to achieve greatness? Well, greatness takes time, right? But it doesn't mean that, like, you're just, twiddling your thumbs for the meantime, right? No. You're actively working towards achieving your BHAG, right? But what I want you to do is I want you to set a smaller goal, and you can kind of back calculate that, right, through this tool that I'm going to share with you right now. All right, most people, when they break down their BHAG, they don't use, they just assume that everything is linear, but the reality is people forget the power of the exponential, right? So you need to use something like this to break down your BHAG into your year one goal. And then here, the assumption is, that from years 1 to 5, you will you will grow your portfolio, like 50%. So for example, you start out with, year one at 15.4 million, but year two, you'll end up buying maybe a bigger property, okay? Or two properties, whatever, so you end up with total of three properties, right? But on year two, you will grow by 50%. On year three, you will grow by another 50%. And then from year six onwards, because of the law of big numbers, now you're growing by, let's say, 25%, right? So, so for example, here, your BHAG is 1 billion, right? Instead of saying, oh, since I want to achieve it over 10 years,
then my goal for year one is 100 million, right? Which is kind of still overwhelming for a lot of people, right? But instead, if you use this, right? And I kind of want to zoom in so that you guys can see, but if you use this inverse exponential calculator, right, then it actually breaks it down for you that your year one smart goal is 15,355,648. I just rounded up to 15.4 million, right? So let's say your goal is 1 million per month, right? So that means on year one, your goal is 15,356, right? Per month, which is a lot more doable. But since you're growing by 50% per year for for years 1 to 5, and then year 6 to 10 by 25%, then the nice thing with real estate is that it's exponential, right? Because you buy on year one, you buy several properties, and then to make, actually that's just one property really, to make 15,000 per month. Okay, or several smaller properties, right? But then on year two, you still own the properties you bought from year one, right? And so it adds up, right? And so that's the power of the exponential, is you start out small, right? Let's say 15,000. Let's say you don't believe that it's possible for you to achieve 1 million per month. You want 1 million per year in passive income, right? So in year one, all you need is 15,400 per year of passive income. So how much is that? Basically a little bit, like 12, 1,300 per month, right? So that's very, very doable, right? And then, so, but the same concept, at the end of, by year 10, you'll end up with 1 million, right? Either 1 million per month or 1 million per year of passive income, right? So, yeah, and then you can play around with this, maybe um, the first years 1 to 5, you can grow by 100%. You're doubling every year, right? And then the last, year 6 to 10, you're only growing by 50% per year. Is that possible? Definitely, right? So look at this. Your factor is only 0.002. So you can start out with only 2,900 per year, let's say, if your goal is 1 million per year, and then at the end of 5 years, you end up with, I mean, 10 years, you end up with 1 million, right? So play around with this, at the end of this presentation, you'll find out how you can get this uh, inverse exponential calculator totally for free. So hang around, but I'll see you guys, in the training.
Right. So you define your BHAG, right? And then you use the inverse exponential calculator. Now you know your year one smart goal, right? You need to accomplish it in the next 12 months. Now you got to formulate your strategies. And there are two types of strategies. The first one is, where to play strategy, right? So your where to play strategy defines your focus. Meaning, do you want to focus on houses, apartments, or hotels, or other commercial properties? You want to focus on a specific market, or markets, or sub-markets, right? You need to focus on a main way to make money. Is it the burst strategy? Is it the emerging market strategy? Combination of the two, right? Or value add strategy, right? What are the main skills you want to focus on? Is it acquisition, raising money, construction, property management? Because the thing is, with real estate, a lot of people fail in real estate because there are so many moving parts and people kind of spread themselves too thin and try to do everything, right? Don't do that, right? A lot of our mastermind members, the reason why we have a lot of successful mastermind members is because we leverage on each other's strengths, okay? And when you're focused on one thing, you will accomplish a whole lot more versus you spreading yourself too thin, okay? So your word to play strategy is very important because again, it determines your focus. Now, the next type of strategy that you need to have is how to win. Okay? So your how to win strategies will answer the question, what are the things you need to do, right, in order to buy an apartment building or hotel in the next 12 months? If that's what you want to do, right? So what are the things you need to do in order to do that? Now, with real estate, it's almost always the same. You need to worry about lead generation. Okay. How do you find properties for sale? Right. Um, your lead acquisition, which I did not put it in there, like your acquisition strategy, right? Your financing, your capital raising, your management, and any systems that you need to have. Those are the five things generally that you need to factor in. All right. So let's give an example. Let's say your BHAG is 1 million per year. That's your BHAG, right? 1 million of passive income per year. And according to the calculator, right, the inverse exponential calculator, your year one SMART goal is 15,400 per year or 1,283 per month, right? So it's very reasonable, right? Now, your work to play strategy, you know, can be, well, since I only need 1283 per month, maybe I should focus on smaller buildings, right? So now you focus on 10 to 20 unit apartment buildings in Cincinnati, Ohio, right? And you use seller financing to get in light, meaning you don't put up like 20-30% down payment, but instead 5 to 10% down and use the rest of the capital to do value add like cosmetic renovation to increase rent by at least $100 per month per unit. You gotta go down to that level of specificity, okay, when you define your strategies. Okay, now for some of you, maybe a lot of you, that like you don't know what you don't know, right? So sometimes you need to do a little bit of research. Okay, so for example, if you guys have not bought Mike's book, in fact, you know what, Joe.
Yeah,
Okay, so when like who here wants to get Mike's audiobook?
I think I sense one getting generous here.
Okay. So Mike's book From Broke to Millions, all right? This is a great book in terms of like understanding the basics, right? So if you don't know the basics yet, I suggest you get this book. But you know what? Once you put your phone number in there and Joe or Alicia or Terry call you, right? One of the things that they will do is give you a copy of the audiobook, right? So you can listen to it, right? And then you can absorb the basics, right? You can understand the basics, okay? But what you want to do is when you set your work to play strategy, you want to be very very specific, right? Because here's what will happen if you don't do this, right? Let's say you know you said, okay, my goal is to get $15,400 per year, and then you stop there. You did not define your work to play strategy, right? Then guess what? Brokers will send you deals. Oh, I have this 100 units in Dayton, Ohio. Do you like it? Or I have this like 50 units in Cleveland, Ohio, or this 1,000 units in Houston, Texas. It's like now you'll be like all over the place. You have no focus. And like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? Right. So, but by defining your where to play, now you narrow down your focus, right? And then now you don't have to like run all over the place. See, that's why this is very very important. All right. Now, that's your where to play strategy. Now, your how to win. Okay. Now I only put like one how to win strategy here, which is about lead generation. As I said, there are five things that you want to consider. Okay. But let's say your how to win is, your lead generation strategy is you cold call owners of 10 to 20 units to see if they're willing to sell. Okay. I mean, it's very simple, right? That's your strategy. Cold call owners of 10 to 20 units to see if they're willing to sell. Boom. Okay. But again, you need to specify those strategies, right? Okay. And then step number 4 is you list down your tactics. These are the daily or weekly action steps you need to do to implement your how to win strategies. Okay? Your tactics will answer who will do what by when, right? And when you're starting out, the who is always you, okay? Now when you do this, like when you grow, right, then now you can afford to hire an assistant, right? At which point then you will assign people, but at the beginning it will be you. but you need to define what you need to do by when, and where or from whom you will get the specific resources that you need in order to accomplish your how to win strategies. Okay? Here's an example, right? Again, going back, your smart goal, year one smart goal is 17,400 or 1283 per month, right? Your how to win is cold call owners of 10 to 20 units to see if they're willing to sell. Well, your tactics now are specific action steps, right? Who will do what by when, right? So, this is what you're going to do. First, you get a list of multifamily owners. And every 3 months, let's say you get that from CoStar, you can even specify when, right? Every first of the month, every 3 months, I'm going to get the list of multifamily owners. You define where you're going to get that, right? And then, you know, a tactic, right, is exactly what you're going to do. Call 10 owners per day at this time frame. Maybe you have a full-time job. You can only talk between 12:30 to 1 and 5:30 to 6:30, right? During the weekdays, and 9 to 10 a.m. and 1 to 2 p.m. every Saturday. You got to define it to that level of specificity to the point that now there's no question what you need to do for that day. All right? You got to boil it down to action steps, right? Because if you don't, guess what? It remains a goal. And if you don't have specific action steps, guess what will happen? Your goal will remain a goal forever and you don't achieve anything. Okay? So you got to go through this exercise. And I know this requires some work, this requires some thinking. But when you do this, believe me, you will achieve like any goal that you set, you will achieve that. Okay? And then step number 5, you implement, right? You implement your tactics every day. Like every day, you should be moving closer to your goal, right? Every day, you should be asking yourself the question, did I do something to achieve my year one goal today? Did I do something today to be one step closer to achieving my year one smart goal, right? If the answer is no, then you gotta, have that, come to Jesus conversation, right? With the man or woman you see in front of the mirror, right? And then it's like, okay, why not, right? Why did I not do the things that I needed to do, right? Now, then as you do this, as you implement your tactics, you will realize that there are things that are working and things that are not working. So you need to document and measure your activity and results. But it's important that you convert your winning tactics into habits. Okay? Because see, the thing is, we are creatures of habits, right? So a lot of the things that we do are just things that became habitual. All right? And therefore, if you are not achieving the results you want, it just means you have, you know, unfortunately, I'm just going to be just straight here and be in your face or be blunt. It's just that you don't have winning habits, right? Right? You know, then you need to change those habits. And what habits you should have, it depends. Like, what are the tactics or action steps that are giving you results? Then you do them again and again and again and again, right? Until you can do them even without thinking. All right? Some people say it takes 21 days, but really it takes like 90 days to turn something into a habit. Then spend as much time as you can in order to convert a winning tactic into a habit. Because believe me, when it becomes a habit, you will achieve greatness, right? Because then you don't even have to think. You're doing it without thinking and you're getting results. All right? Like for example, one of our most successful mastermind members, like one thing he did is he analyzed, like, I don't know, like 3 deals per day. I kid you not, despite with his full-time job, right? He would send me deals every single day, right? So that guy's Team Vest. And today, well, in just 18 months, he bought 1,000 apartment units, and then 3 years. in within 3 years, he now owns over 1,500 apartment units. And it started with him sending me a deal to analyze. He would tell me, "Hey, when this deal sounds good. What do you think?" And I will like, "Oh no, it's not because of this, this, and this." And then he will send me another deal. "What do you think about this?" "I think it's a good deal because of the numbers, because of the financing, whatever." And I will tell him, "Well, according to my analysis, you need to offer a lower price." And then he will make that offer, right? So he did that every single day. And then today, like he is like an acquisition machine. Like he can analyze a deal really quickly, make a quick decision on whether a deal is a good deal or a bad deal, right? He doesn't even have to think, especially if it's a deal within his market, which is North Carolina, South Carolina, for example, right? So you want to, like as they say, you want to get enough reps in so that it becomes a habit. Okay. Here's an example, right? So you have your tactics, right? Now you measure your activity and results. So let's say your strategy is cold call owners, right? Then you measure your activity. Let's say for the week you made 60 calls. Out of 60 calls, 56 are good numbers. Because when you do cold calling, not all numbers will be good, right? Depends on your data. But let's say, there's an example of like measuring the results, right? 12 people pick up because not many people will pick up a call from, someone they don't know. I don't, okay? And then out of 12, one is interested in selling. There you go, right? Then you do that again next week and again and again and again. These are the boring stuff that gives you results, right? But you got to boil it down again to a level of like action that you can do every single day, right? All right. And then step number 6, every 90 days you review and see, right? These are the three things, that in fact I have our team implement this. And, I taught this to some of our students. Every 90 days, you ask yourself, what can I do more of? Right? If it's working, can you do more of it? Meaning, if you're making 60 cold calls per week, can you do 100? Right? Can you double that? See? Now, what can you do better? Maybe when you cold call, right? Then you ask people who actually, like responded that yeah, they're interested in selling, right? How come you did not like slam the phone? What did they what happened? And then they will tell you, oh well, when you called me, you sound calm, but then you told me you don't have anything for sale, but in fact you want to buy something, and what's that? I want to buy your property. That kind of intrigued me, right? Based on that feedback now, then maybe you can adopt that as your script. See, what can you do better, right? And then what can you do differently? Or what new things can you try? Maybe when you do cold calling, right? Maybe you use, AI, right? Artificial intelligence, right? We have this thing called Air AI, which is like mind boggling, but it works like crazy. Now they're still in ultra beta version, whatever that means, but we're testing it right now in terms of like, increasing your productivity in terms of cold calling, for example. But that's an example of trying something new, right? So because now every 90 days, you can change tactics and strategies, but not your goal. Because the point is, step number 6 is you continually improve, right? You see what works. You see, if something is not working, can you do it better? In fact, sometimes, you know, let's say the goal is cold calling, right? Well, not the goal, but that's your strategy, right? In order to generate leads, you know, I mean, sometimes you just need to do more of it for it to work. Okay. So maybe you tried calling like 50 calls per week, but it doesn't work. Then can you do 100 and see if you'll get more results out of it, right? So think about those three things. What can you do more of? What can you do better? And what can you do differently or new? Okay. Now, again, every 90 days, you see if the tactics and strategies work. If not, change them. And this is the point wherein it's great to have a coach so that the coach can guide you with this, right? Help you with this and like, give you like an unbiased point of view. Like, hey, your strategy and tactic, that specific tactic doesn't work because of this, this, and this. Have you tried this, right? Have you done this? Have you looked into this, right? Because then again you'll be able to improve your tactics and strategies. All right, so do you want the inverse exponential calculator? Okay, put it in the chat. Again, put your phone number in the chat if you want that, right? After Alicia, Joy, and Terry call you, they will send you the inverse exponential calculator to kind of help you. Okay, come up with your year one smart goal. All right. Again, you will get a call so we can help you develop your plan for 2024. Now, if you're already a mastermind member, you don't need to do this, right? You will get this automatically. And you have your account manager, success coach anyway, right? So, your success coach will help you with that. And again, monthly, we will check in with you to keep you accountable. We will give you valuable resource and training. Put your cell phone number in the chat and we'll call you, right? If you want 2024 to be your best year yet, go ahead, put your number in the chat, and you'll also get the inverse exponential calculator so you can define your year one goal, extrapolate that from your BHAG, right? All right. So with that, let's, let's do a quick summary in here. What time do we have?
It's 8:43.
Okay,
Got
so we got
15 more minutes.
15 more minutes. All right. All right. So first, right? Okay. You define your BHAG, right? That's step number one. The next, you break it down into your year one SMART goal. Then what happens next? Anybody in the chat? What's the next one? We're in the chat. I cannot see anyone in the chat. Anybody wanna take a guess? Is the chat working?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, okay. What's the next one after year one SMART goal? After you set your year one SMART goal, what's the next step? Anybody? Where and how to play. That's good. That's good. You define your strategies, right? You define your how to win. No, where to play and how to win. So why is it important to define where to play? Anybody? Why is it important to define your where to play strategies? Focus. That's right, Lee. You got it. Right? Because if you're not focused, you're all over the place, then your efforts will be spread too thin and you don't accomplish anything. Okay? What's next after strategies? Anybody? I like your BHAG, Danny Patel. 5 million per month passive income in 10 years. That's awesome, man. Tactics, you're right, Orlando. Tactics. Because you gotta boil it down into specific action steps, right? Okay? All right. I think that's it, guys. And then the next step after that is what? You gotta, that's right, Ed White, execution, implement. And then what do you do every 90 days? Anybody? Improve. That's right. Orlando again. Max Skyler, you got it. You got it. You review and adjust. Now, when you review and adjust, what are you adjusting? Are you adjusting the goal or are you, yeah, that's right. You are adjusting your tactics. Todd Snelling got it, right? You're adjusting your tactics and strategies, but never the goal. Okay? Because otherwise, right? It's like if you keep changing the goal, then how will you even achieve it, right? If you keep on changing it, right? So the goal has to remain the same. Doesn't matter even if you're far away from the goal, right? But keep the goal the same and still strive for it and figure out how can I achieve this goal, right? What's wrong with my tactics and strategies? What are the things that are not working, right? Right? What can I do more of? What can I do better? What can I do differently or new? All right. Is this helpful, guys? Did you learn something new? Put in the chat, like with this blueprint right here, who here thinks you can achieve any goal? Because now you know this, right? No matter how great the goal is or big the goal is, your BHAG, you can achieve any goal once you implement this. All right, Jayanti, Kion, Charlene, yes. Great content. Danny Patel, me, awesome. Leo, yes. All right, guys, you're very welcome. Um, do you guys have any questions? Keon Harley said, thanks. Will there be a replay option? Well, we are recording this right now. Now, last time, last week, unfortunately, the recording didn't go for some reason. I don't know if it's a Zoom technicality, whatever. But yeah, I mean, right now, hopefully the recording goes well this time. I think it is. So, do you guys have any questions that I can answer? Whether related to real estate, science of achievement. Charlene said, very helpful. Funding, Derek Hall. All right. Well, what's your question about funding? Put it in the chat.
When we had some really good BHAGs up here earlier, it says one person said buy 5 apartment complexes in 24 months.
Mhm.
One said $100 million in income producing real estate,
Nice.
$5 million in asset by next year, 3 hotels, 6 apartment buildings, and 30 single family homes.
Awesome.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Well, Joe, Alicia, and Terry will call you guys. All right. Do you help with structuring deals from Al E? Yeah. We help our mastermind members in structuring their deals, definitely, right? I mean, and of course, we teach you the basics, right? We teach you like, everything that you need to, like in terms of structuring deals, you gotta consider, not just the deal, but what your investors want and what you want, right? So the combination of all of those things, right, determines your deal structure. Okay. Admire. I cannot read it. Admire. Chi. Can you read that? Can you buy 100? Oh, BHAG stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. Right? You set a goal so big, you have no clue how to achieve it. Like you have absolutely no clue. It makes your hair stand, kind of like, oh, I don't even want to share it and tell other people, right? You're almost like embarrassed to even tell it to other people. And then A stands for audacious, like who are you? The audacity, who are you to even set a goal that big, right? Because the benefit is when you set a goal so big, it stretches you, it makes you grow, it forces you to go beyond your current resources and limitations, right? Instead of defining your goal based on what you can achieve, right? But you need to, but you cannot just stop with your BHAG. You got to break it down into your year one SMART goal. And the inverse, exponential calculator will help you do that. Now, again, guys, by definition, BHAG, right? Can we see the board in totality? Okay. Um, Is that better? Can you guys see the board?
Get out of the way, when.
I know, I know. All right. Yep, that's a summary of what we discussed. But yeah, so uh you cannot just leave it like BHAG, right? Because it's like it's just, then it's wishful thinking if you just leave it like that. You gotta break it down into your one smart goal. And then as I said, right, you know, then you define your where to play and how to win strategies. Okay. Then you define your tactics, your action steps. You implement those action steps and then you review and adjust. All right. Any other question? Can you scroll up a little bit so I can see? Any questions that you can see, Joe?
Yeah, we got some questions here. Jana asked. It's a fairly long one here, but I'll read it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have had a BHAG plan for a couple of years now. However, I've been slowed down with connecting with people who are time wasters. I network with many investors in my area of interest, multifamily and hotel,
Mm-hmm.
having similar goals
Mm-hmm.
as I spend several months with these people thinking we have a strategy to achieve our goals, and then things fall apart as I find out either they are not as experienced as they say they are, or they don't have the investor connection as they say they do, or
Mm-hmm.
they aren't very hardworking. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to collaborate with doers instead of wasting my time with time wasters. How do
Mm-hmm.
I avoid time wasters?
Well, are you these people that you met, did you buy in to meet them or you just joined a group, everybody, this is like a free group? I don't know if
Yeah.
you, yeah, because here's the thing, right? You get what you pay for, right? So sometimes, you know, uh, and I mean, like some of our most successful mastermind members, they belong to like three or four paid masterminds. Like they literally paid like, tens of thousands of dollars to join not just our mastermind, but other masterminds too. Not because they need more knowledge, but because they know if someone paid in to become a member of a mastermind, right? Um, then you know for a fact that these people are serious,
The action takers.
right?
These are the action takers.
Yep, exactly.
Jana says through network conferences and
Mm-hmm.
through LinkedIn.
There you go. So, I mean, yeah, conference is good, right? But, relatively low price, by comparison, so those people are just educating themselves, right? But when you join, these paid masterminds, right? They paid a lot of money to become part of this. So, and I've seen this because I've attended conferences too. I know exactly what you mean. In fact, the first partnership that I did, failed miserably because I realized out of four people, I was the only one doing the work. I was like, what the heck? Why do I need you? Why do I need the three of you? So I ended up like, dissolving the partnership because I was the only one doing the work, right? So but in a paid mastermind, what you get there are people who are dead serious in implementation because that's the focus of, like for our mastermind. At least I can speak for our mastermind. That's the focus is implementation, right? So yeah, so the people that we get are serious people who are they want to implement what they're learning and they want to get results, right? And so everybody's working towards it. Okay. And
Unfortunately, a lot of people who go to network conferences or even float around on LinkedIn are part of the largest nation.
yeah, yeah,
Across the nation.
there you go. Yep. So you don't want that, but instead you want people who are action takers, and that's one way to meet action takers. Now, is that the only way? No, but that's a quick way to find people who are dead serious. Okay. Yeah. So pay to play. Yep. So you want. So I again, that's not the only way. You can meet good people through networking too, right? But you gotta vet them first, right? Maybe start with a small partnership, a small joint venture, right? Just check them out, right? You know, but it takes a while, before you tie the knot, so to speak, and partner with someone you just met at a conference or LinkedIn. You gotta take your time in vetting them out, talk to them, talk to people that they partnered with, right? You know, and see if they're really action takers. If not, then you move on, right? So, any other questions? What time do we have, Joe? I just
You got
want
3 minutes left.
3 minutes. All right. So it's amazing. Like you guys put, this is so valuable. You're very welcome, guys. Like literally, we use this. I mean, I use this in our real estate and businesses. So this thing absolutely works. Can you help active yearly goal in mastermind achieve yearly goal in mastermind? Yeah, Danny Patel. Like one of the things that we do is you get a success coach that work with you one on one to define your goal, your strategies and tactics, right? And keep you accountable in achieving that. So yes, the answer is yes. So with that, as Mike Ely would say, you are one big deal away.